Hey, what's going on, y'all? Okay, so today we have something pretty huge for you. Well, it's multiple things. It's not just an unboxing. I'm gonna actually like install it because I looked online and there aren't a lot of videos that show like how to do this. So let's just get right into it. We have a new trolling motor, brand new trolling motor. Look at that. We've got the Minn Kota Riptide power drive bow mount trolling motor. And what does it have on it?
Spot lock.
It has spot lock. So we're pretty excited about, well, he's pretty excited about that because he hates throwing the anchor. So we officially have spot lock. So this is a huge upgrade for the John boat restoration project, which is sitting right there with a piece of Jonas's fender in it that we replaced because he got hit by somebody. But anyway, we are going to get this installed. What I said a little bit ago, I looked online because on John boats you have this lip right here, and obviously you want the trolling motor to hang over it, so we're gonna build up basically like a block right here for the trolling motor to actually sit on, and then that way it can overhang the front right here and won't be an issue for when we drop it. But we're gonna do that, and we're gonna show you how to do it. I have some ideas of how I want to do it. I just need to like play around with the tape measure and some of the metal that I have, some of the aluminum, and we'll go from there. Alright, also, as we just pointed out, we got 3 staples in the top. Well, maybe not. Oh, there we go. Just gotta get the right leverage on it. 3 staples in the top, and then I'm going to go ahead and take these out because I'm going to get a pair of needle nose and pop those out because those things hurt whenever they rake across your forearms. Just check it and make sure that we're good, like as far as, it didn't look like there was any damage on the outside of the box. Oh yeah, we're good.
Yeah.
And the manual's right there, and there's our power prop.
It's nice.
Cool. Alright, so we are going to get these staples out so we don't keep cutting ourselves on them, and then we're going to take this out of the box and we'll show you guys. Alright y'all, so we got the forearm slicers out of the way. We'll get the important thing, the manual. And alright, so obviously mounting hardware, and I have no, obviously I don't know, I have no idea what that cable's for. That's why we got to read the manual. Our prop. I wonder if that Newport Vessels one, it looks the same.
Yeah.
That'd be pretty sick.
Well, no, the inside's different.
No, it's the same. The pin, it's got a locking pin, and then you just tighten it down.
Oh, okay.
We'll have to look at it and see, because we have a spare prop then.
Right.
Right, and then it's just got to come out. Which is always the hard part.
The top.
Yeah. It's got to come out of here, which is the hard part. Alright y'all, so right now we're figuring out where we want it. We're trying to get an idea where we want it up here, and then we'll figure out what kind of angle we want it. But I think that's pretty much going to be it right there. And then we're going to measure right here to see how much of a block that I need to, kind of like a mounting block that I need to make for that. So yeah, it's a process. So we went up to the to Home Depot and we got some 2x4, just the cheap, like $2 2x4. I'm gonna seal this. I think I'm just gonna shellac it, just for now, because eventually I'm gonna get a welder and I'm gonna learn how to weld, and then I'm gonna weld a bracket for this. I'll show you that later on. But we are missing. See that? It's just a little bit of a tiny gap right there. So we're gonna go get something else to fill that gap right there and have it setting perfectly level, and then we'll be good to go. Alright y'all, so Ezra and I went the other day and we got this piece of, it's basically decking. It's like composite decking, and we're going to use this as the base because we needed a little bit more for the 2x4s to go on. So we're going to use this, and then we're using our other wood that we got, and then we are going to take, I think like the idea is to take 2 pieces of this and then do the 2x4s on top of that, and then we should have the right height for the trolling motor to go over the edge of the boat here. So stick with us, we're gonna try that. So Heather and I made some progress. It's a lot of just marking. Like we have this mark here and this mark here. That's where we want it to sit, and we know like how far we want it to come out. I modified these boards. I cut this angle right here so that it butts up in there, and then I made a mark right here just so I can make these even, because I did not account for taking some off right here, which would ultimately let the board go forward. But I'm gonna take that off. I'm leaving this corner right here just because it butts up nicely and it's extra support. And then I'm gonna cut a corner off of this one and then fix the ends on both of these, and then we are ready to make our holes. We'll mark our holes off of where they're gonna be, and then we'll get the bolts down through, and then she's mounted, and then it's all wiring from there, which is what it is. I'd rather, honestly, at this stage, I'd rather do the wiring than this, but so far this composite decking, I think that's going to be really, really good. I'm not worried about if there are any chemicals in the composite decking, because I have enough paint on the boat and stuff that it will, I have Rust-Oleum paint on there for the top part, and that'll keep it from getting like oxidized or anything. Plus I have a lot of the original green paint up here that'll keep it off the aluminum. But yeah, I'm excited. We're gonna put a little bit of silicone around the bolts just to keep them from making contact where the aluminum is on the front, on the inside, so it doesn't oxidize, and then we're good to go. Yeah, so we have one bolt in so far. We are going to go another bolt here, and then one back here, and then on this side over here we're doing the same thing, but I have to go get a bolt that is a little bit, just an inch longer than this, so that we can go down through and then catch these two as well. This is crazy. It is so tight. So we're doing that, and we have to get the bolt up through, and then I have to squeeze into that space right there, and I've peeled foam out of there, out of the front. I have to squeeze into that space. It's tough, but anyway, we're gonna keep at it and get these last bolts in here, and then I don't even know what time it is. Oh, it's 11:29. So by the time we get these last bolts in here, I don't know if we're gonna get to electrical today, because we're supposed to go to, oh, happy Father's Day. We're supposed to go to Father's Day dinner. So crazy. All right, y'all. So what we are currently facing is, we just got one of these on there, but there's a rubber washer and then a metal washer, and I need to keep those together with one hand and get the nut on there. So I'll show you what we're doing here. So we're taking a piece of electrical tape and putting it around each side, and then that's holding those together. And I'm taking another piece, putting it over the nut, knocking out the hole, and then that's holding that piece. All right, so I'm just taking this, just like that, and then wrapping it. Just little tiny strips of black electrical tape, like that, and then wrap it. And it's almost like you got one washer. And then taking our nut, which goes against the metal washer right here. I might actually need a bigger piece of tape. I'm gonna need a longer piece of tape, but you get the concept. Putting it around there and then knocking a hole out. Save that for the next one. Alright, y'all, so I know it looks ridiculous, but we're doing that, and then taking this and punching a hole in the black electrical tape. And then I'm just taking it and running it around in a circle just to make sure that the bolt's gonna go through. And then ta-da, there we go. I have one thing to hold under there, and that black electrical tape is not gonna do a single thing bad to any of this. So I'm gonna make 4 more of these, and then I'm gonna go back into my dungeon right here, which is ridiculous because I am not small, and I'm going to keep my hand on these while Ezra screws the bolts in from the top. All right, y'all, look, she's bolted up. We got it bolted up. We got it, we're packing up right now. We're going to Father's Day dinner, but we got it cleaned up. I need to mow the yard and stuff, but check this out. Like, I'm gonna see if you guys can see it up under there. But this is the space I was in, and we got bolts all up in there, all up in the foam and everything. We're both like pouring sweat. It's like 90.
Oh, it's like 95.
I don't know. It's hot out here.
Yeah.
He said it's like 95, but I don't know. It's warm. But anyway, it looks really good. I'll get down there and show you after we get done cleaning up, but it looks really good. Check that out. So the composite, I wanted the composite after I saw the channels in it, so the water can just pass right under that, and they're not going to rot out because they're composite. But it looks so good. It's got plenty of overhang. It's as close to center as we could get it. We couldn't get it like dead on center, but yeah. So if you guys are trying to do this on your jump boat, there you go. This Walmart bag is just keeping I still have to hook up the electrical, so for right now that's holding it in there. But yeah, I'm so excited. So we got to do the electrical, and then I'll get the prop put on, and then we are good to go. But that's my new Minn Kota Riptide power drive, and that's the 55-pound thrust with the spot lock. So spot lock, I think for me, is going to be a game changer, because I mean, come on, I do so much bass fishing, and sometimes I just want to, you know, stay on a spot. Like when I find fish, I want to stay on a spot, and it's hard to do when you're sitting there with like different kinds of current and everything else. So yeah, but I'm out of here. I hope that you guys would stick around, because we're gonna do the wiring, but that is how you mount it. Hey, good morning, y'all. All right, so today we're gonna do the wiring for the trolling motor. I showed you guys how we mounted it and everything. It looks really, really good up there. Today we are, if the rain permits, we are going to finish doing the wiring. I went ahead, so the weather was kind of crappy the other day, but I installed our control panel right there, and that's all sealed up and everything. You can actually see where the water is beating up on the top right there, because it's not going down in, but that's all sealed up. You can see where it's not leaking on the back end. I got the NOCO charger. That's all installed, and got the batteries in there with I made the actual battery mount, and I was gonna make a box, but this is sealed up in here, so I didn't really need a box around these, and that way these can breathe and they're not going to get all toasted. But I am going to run the wire from up there, and I'm extending it because that wire is not long enough to reach. I'm extending it, and I'll show you how we're going to do that with some heat shrink and a bunch of other fun stuff. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to strip off. This is 10 gauge wire, and this is what the wire is for the trolling motor. I don't know if that's most trolling motors, but we're going to strip off. So if you look on your snips, you have 10 gauge right there. So we're going to stick that in the 10 gauge, and then go around like that. Pull that off. There are wires. Alright, so we have our wires for all four, and then we're gonna wire these into the other wiring. Alright, so what I did was, these connectors are the connectors that came on it. I snipped those off, and then we'll strip these back, and then I'll show you what we're gonna do next. Alright, so very important, you need a 60 amp waterproof. I did waterproof, it makes sense since you're on a boat. Circuit breaker. This is ignition protected too. So if if you get overload from your other battery for whatever reason, then that'll protect it. It just flicks right off, and you can actually use that as a kill switch too, which is kind of cool. And then when you reset it, you just push that back up in and you're good to go. But you need this, and I'll show you how we're gonna do this. All right, y'all, so I have my jumper. This is gonna go from the circuit breaker over to the battery. I have these, I wanted to heat shrink these, but I just did a black electrical tape. I'll get some, not that there's anything wrong with black electrical tape, but I'm gonna get some heat shrink and heat shrink around these just to be safe. And then I made sure that my connections right here were secure as well. So we are all good. And then what I'm actually gonna do is I'm gonna throw just a little bit of tape around here too, because I don't need the separation until we get up towards the end. But that'll give it a little bit of extra, you know, hold. And then I'll show you how we're gonna hook everything up. But yeah, a lot of the wiring's already done. I just need to hook it up to the battery, and I'll show you how we're gonna do that. All right, so if you read on this particular one, it says auxiliary load. So that right there is actually going to the trolling motor, and then over here it says battery. So obviously that one is going to go over here to the positive on the battery. So we're hooking up the positive running through here, and then if this trips, obviously if you have no positive feed, it's going to kick this, and then it's gonna look like that, which I should have that off anyway while I'm doing this, but it's gonna look like that. And then when you reset it, it'll allow the electricity to go back through. But this will save you a lot of money. They're not expensive. It'll save you a lot of money because you won't fry your trolling motor control board. But we have this going up like this, and then it goes up to the trolling motor. So I'm gonna route this down through here, and then it's gonna kind of dip down just in case any water does get on it. It'll be kind of like a fish tank cord. You're supposed to have a loop in it so that if water runs out of the fish tank, it goes down. But see if it works. But we are close. I got to finish wiring up. Got to finish hooking up those, and then I got to run a couple more wires, and then we're good to go. All right, y'all, so I'm gonna go over the wiring with you real quick. So basically, I showed you a little bit ago, this is the wiring that comes with the trolling motor, with the power drive that I have right here, the Riptide power drive. That's a 55-pound thrust, and that's a 12-volt motor. This is 10 gauge wire. It says somewhere on there. Anyway, it's 10 gauge wire, and you trace it all the way down. And then I have this taped up, and then when you go down further, so our negative, so I have these hooked up in parallel. So to hook up two 12-volt batteries, these are 100 amp hours a piece. So essentially I have 200 amp hours right now. But I have 12 volt right here, 12 volt right here. I have my negative to negative, positive to positive, just like that. And then right here I have the negative trolling motor battery hooked up, or I'm sorry, the negative cable is hooked up here. And then all this is my NOCO charger. Right here's all you have is that jumper going from negative to negative that makes this parallel. Over here you have battery charger. That's my NOCO charger. Right here you have the the positive to positive jumper right here. And I use two gauge. You can use something smaller, but I mean, you're hooking up two 12-volt batteries. I use heavy gauge. And then over here, plus it's 200 degrees Celsius rated, so it can get pretty warm, especially here in North Carolina. Over here we have our amp, or our circuit breaker, which is 60 amps. This right here, you can see we have our positive coming in, and that's going to the auxiliary. And then we have our positive coming out on the battery end, which goes over here to this. Now notice my NOCO charger is hooked up here as well. So when you hook up the NOCO chargers, or you know, on modern day batteries, you want to hook up per battery. So this has, you can see right here, this has one cable, which is a battery bank. That mine's a 3-bank charger. But you have these right here. I have those hooked up on this battery. We'll call it battery A, and then battery B, I have another bank hooked up here. So they charge evenly. It registers on there. I can actually look on my Noco charger. I have the Noco Genius 10. I think it's like it's the Pro, so you can rejuvenate dead batteries and everything with that. But going back to our trolling motor, so my positive going from my 60 amp circuit breaker over to this battery A. So I have that going there, and then my negative for my trolling motor is going to battery B. So just to reiterate, we're coming from the trolling motor, we're coming back here, our negative is going straight to this battery, our positive is coming up, it's going to the circuit breaker right here. On this circuit breaker you have an auxiliary, which is basically whatever goes to the auxiliary thing that you're powering. So in our case it would be the trolling motor. Then it goes through the circuit breaker over to this positive cable, but you're gonna have to make this part, but this goes to battery A. So I have the positive on this battery and the negative is hooked up on this battery. That way whenever I draw off of these, even though I have them hooked up in parallel, when I draw off of these, they're going to draw evenly off of these batteries. So I'm not going to, you know, keep killing one battery over the other, because if you do that, then you're going to have to replace one battery, then eventually this battery is going to go, and vice versa. So right now they're drawing evenly off of each other. All right, and then just for fun, so I have a Noco charging port right here. I mounted that right there, which is perfect. I have a control panel over there, which I need to finish wiring up. I have not done yet, which is going to run back to my bilge. It's looking pretty good, I think. I'm going to get cleaned up here, and then that's it. So the mount looks really, really good. Check that out. It's perfect. It's absolutely perfect. Got just the right amount of space. This thing is like super sturdy. It's not going anywhere. I'll show you the other side here. Oh, look at that. It's just perfect. It turned out so good. Very happy with it. But I'm gonna get some of these pine needles cleaned up. We're taking the boat out tomorrow, so stay tuned, and hopefully we'll catch some fish tomorrow, and you guys will get to see that in the next video. And then somebody asked me to do a gear video, so I'm going to do that eventually. I'm going to go over my gear with you guys and show you what I use as far as rod, reel. He asked for line, and I'll probably touch base on some just general lures. I'm not going to go really in depth on lures because there's such a huge variety and each one calls for different scenarios. But that's it. I will catch you all next time. Take care.